actually want to talk about love yourself. As I've mentioned, as the day nears for the reunion, for the seven of them to be done with their service, and that would be less than 60 days. Am I right? Less than 60 days. So I just want to keep on emphasizing the brilliance of their previous works. A lot of the sales records that they are establishing, ranking, charts, sales, at some point that someone is going to overtake it. Just That's just how things are. But in the same breath that no one questions the greatness of the Beatles, or the greatness of Michael Jackson, or the greatness of Whitney Houston, or the greatness of Elvis, even though new singers are overtaking them in some of their records, no one questions their greatness, because their greatness s- s- transcends numbers. It's all about their impact, how they have actually affected the industry, not just music itself, but the business of music. So, this is what I want us to focus on, because, as I've said, in the future, the sales records, charts, those will go away, but their impact should not be forgotten. So, their love yourself and the most beautiful moment in life, those two are actually some of the best pieces in terms creatively, and also from a marketing perspective, because those two campaigns and all the other campaigns that I'm calling it a campaign, but it's actually an era for them. But from for marketing purposes, usually when we launch a project, a marketing project, we call it a campaign, right? It's one complete 360 project to promote something. So, because I am talking about their project as a marketing piece, I'm going to call it a campaign, but it's actually an artistic era. As an era. Okay, so for the most beautiful moment in life and love yourself is actually a perfect study of a marketing campaign, because it did and fulfilled the most basic needs for any kind of product to be introduced and successfully launched to the market. Okay, so love yourself. Okay. In marketing, always remember this. When you are introducing a product or selling a product to somebody, it's all about the consumer. It's not about your product, it's about the consumer. At the end of the day, the consumer would want to know, why are they buying your product? Why should they support you? Why should they even watch you? Great marketing isn't about the product, it's about them, the consumers. Most failed campaigns actually forget this, because many products, when they introduce them to the market, they talk about the features, the statistics, the aesthetics. It's all about me, me, me. I'm the best. I'm the number one this. I'm the most subscribed this. I am the most supported this. I have been around in the industry for so long. It's all about the product. And the truth is that the consumers actually don't care. The brands that actually win, the brands that actually stay, they talk about what the consumer feels, what the consumer wants, and what the consumer needs, and how your product fulfill those needs. So remember, just put yourself in the position of consumer. Before, when somebody tells you to buy something, your first question is, what's in it for me? Why will I pay you money to buy this? What's in it for me? What am I gonna gain? What am I gonna get out of your product? People, they say, are innately selfish. Some people say it's not selfishness, it's just self preservation. We always want to know before we actually spend on anything, or spend our money or energy. We always want to know what is it that we're going to gain out of it, because once we spend, whether it's money, time, or energy, we're already losing something, so we have to gain something back. For people, we do not let anyone rent a space in our head unless they're actually a good tenant. Okay, so that's the bottom line. When something is offered to the consumer always asks, what's in it for me? This has been studied so many times. Why are people so self-centered? Why are we so selfish? What does science have to say about it? Now, there are studies that argue that we are not just, we're actually not selfish. In fact, one of our strongest suit and the reason we have progressed as a society is our ability to cooperate with each other. However, other people argue that we cooperate because at the end of the day it benefits us. If it's not going to benefit us, then we will not cooperate. So at the end of it, it's still selfishness, it's still self-centered. So that is the belief. And as a marketer, you always have to believe that at the end of the day, before anybody buys anything or believes in anything, you have to answer the fundamental question: what's in it for me? Why the consumer should be the start of your marketing campaign. So why? Okay. We're gonna, this all leads into BTS's Love Yourself. So one, because people care about themselves and not really you. When I mean you, meaning the product. When I say you, I mean the product. Consumers don't wake up wondering what your brand is doing today. They ask, how does this help me, or why should I care? The moment your message speaks to the need, their fears, or their dreams, then you get their attention. Look at it this way: if somebody has a problem and you say, I have a solution to your problem, they're going to listen to you. If you say, if someone has a problem and you start talking about how great you are, you're probably not going to get their attention. So it's as simple as that. It's always about what the consumer will gain. Second, connection drives conversion. People buy from brands they relate to, not brands that lecture them. Campaigns that tap into real experiences and emotions build trust and loyalty. So, if your campaign shows consumers that you understand their lives, they're more likely to listen to you. So, for example, if if there are two brands selling the same thing, one is saying I'm cool, and then the other is saying this will refresh you. For example, it's both soda. This is going to refresh you and connect you with your friends. If everything else is equal, they're going to go with somebody that talks about their needs. Okay. So it starts with connection. When they feel connected, then they buy, they convert. So conversion is a big word in the marketing department, in the marketing industry. It's all about conversion, meaning sales. Okay, you're selling a solution, not the product. So when you are given a product to market, always remember that is not your product. The product itself is not what you're selling. What you're selling is a solution to the problem. So always identify what problem your product addresses. What problem does it solve? The product is the tool that helps them solve a problem, improve their lives, or feel something they want to feel. So, for example, you're not selling a mattress, you're selling better sleep, less back pain, and waking up energized. You're not selling a soda, you're selling a drink that will refresh them for the entire day. You're not selling a dress, you're selling glamour, you're selling confidence. Okay. So it is the solution, the product that you have is just the tool. All right. Now, empathy, another thing, empathy builds brand equity. When your messaging shows empathy, it humanizes your brand. So, and everyone knows you're selling. I already know you're selling. Don't rub it in my face. So, at the very least, make it appear as if you're actually trying to connect with me. Once you do that, then I see you as a human. Your product becomes a human, not just a simple product. Okay. I can talk marketing the entire day. So, consumer centric, when something is very consumer centric, it also drives smart data use. Modern marketing thrives on feedback, analytics, and behavioral patterns. If you listen to your consumers, your campaigns will become more relevant, more personalized, and more effective. So, when there are two things to this, you need to learn how to collect data. When you launch a campaign, you need to learn how to collect data to know which products or which campaigns are actually successful, but you also have to interpret it the right way. Okay. So for example, and this is a common occurrence, like for example, I'm selling, um I changed the color of my product from blue to yellow, and I sell it, and I made it available on the market during Christmas. You have to ask, and then the sales went up. You have to ask yourself, it is not just simply because you changed your color. It could be because it was Christmas and people had the money to actually buy. So you need to collect the data, but you also need to interpret the data the right way. Okay. So even when you support groups, when you support artists, it's still very selfish. Listen to what you're saying. They speak my feelings. I like their message. I can relate to them. They are relatable. It's as if they know my feelings and they're actually singing about it. So it's still at the end of the day very much about you. You will not support an artist who artists who don't make you feel good. So, Love Yourself, the title itself, is about you. When they launched Love Yourself, it wasn't about them. And this is the primary difference that set them apart from everybody else and also elevated their message from the school trilogy to the most beautiful moment in life. The school trilogy was still very much about them, right? My name is Jungkook. I have big dreams, big cars, big rings. It was about them. They were cool, but it was about them. When they transitioned to the most beautiful moment in life, it became about their journey as young people that people can relate to. When they transitioned to Love Yourself, it fully became you. It was about you. Okay. So if you look at, and then the most beautiful moment in life, as I was saying, it focuses on the uncertain future more than the glamour of youth. So they humanized their brands. They weren't just glamorous, they were humans as well. So Love Yourself wasn't just an album. I would treat the most beautiful moment in life and Love Yourself as one continuous era because they are very much connected. Love Yourself wasn't just an album, it was an invitation. It was essentially inviting everybody to be a part of the journey. So the campaign was structured like it was your journey. It was our journey more than not just theirs. So her, the very first offering in Love Yourself, it was the thrill of infatuation, the thrill of adventure, thrill of something new. Tear or tear, depending on the two meanings of RM, it was the pain of losing what you thought was love, or the what you thought was a good life or happiness or relationships. Answer was the moment of truth where you realized what you're actually worth. So essentially, they created a trilogy that mirrored a process that people go through, and because they knew that of a lot of the a lot of their audience, a huge part of their audience, they're young. They knew that they were going through the same journey as they were. So they created a journey that everyone was able to relate to. It wasn't just their story, it became everybody else's journey. So, how the other thing brilliant thing about the whole Love Yourself and the most beautiful moment in life is that it was a personal message, but the story was a global truth. Okay, so how? And RM actually said this, that it was their personal story, but it was a global truth. BTS could have made Love Yourself about their story, but instead they just simply said, this is our pain. This describes our pain. This is about our love. This is our shame. This is our healing. So it was always our and not just theirs. Okay, so if you listen to their lyrics, if you look at their music videos, it was always inclusive in that the audience is included in the story. So, in essence, their vulnerability became a mirror instead of packaging perfection, which a lot of idol groups at that time were doing, if not all of them. They open up about insecurity, loneliness, rejection, and identity crisis. You know this, that K-pop thrived on perfection and glamour before BTS. When BTS launched The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, they stripped down. They erased the thick makeup. They started wearing light colors because they were wearing black. They had all the bandanas on their head. They had sunglasses. And then in the most beautiful moment in life, they just became kids. They became teenagers. They became young people. So they really stripped down. And remember where the industry was coming from at that time. There was Big Bang. That's all about glamour, thick makeup, big visuals. There was 2 p.m., great body. You know, they were the beast of idols. And then BTS came, very, very much dressed down. Okay. They spoke with the audience, not to the audience. And so you will, a lot of idols still do this. Whenever you hear idol songs that are just about themselves, about breastfeeding, about how cool they are, about being bad bitch, or being the boss, or being better than everybody else, that is talking to the audience, not with the audience. What BTS did is that they did not pay attention to any of their superiority claim, and just stuck with the message of this is our journey. Okay. So they were, in essence, one of the first to actually put themselves in the same level as their fans. Okay. Um, I don't know if you know this, but are you aware of the hero's journey? The hero's journey is the step by step process, or s- um the journey of a hero, step by step. So this is each of the plot points that a hero in a story goes through, right? So they say that every hero in every story goes through this journey. Okay, yes. So I will plot. Yes, it's usually studied in the Lord of the Rings, and I'll plot it in a bit. So it starts with an ordinary world. So usually a person just, for example, Frodo Baggins, like he's just an ordinary person. So he's just enjoying his life. And then suddenly, number two, call to adventure, you're given a task, because it's going to disturb your life and the life that you want. Initially, you say no. So the refusal to the call, that's number three. But something's going to come along that will make you change your mind and will make you realize you should take this journey. So that's number four, meeting the mentor. It doesn't always have to be human being. So we are at number four. And then when you take that first step to actually start the journey, that's number five, crossing the threshold. Once you cross the threshold, you're not guaranteed to fulfill your initial goal. There are tests, there are allies, there are enemies. So you go through different tests, different hardships. So that's number six. Your approach to in number seven, approach to innermost cave is when this is the point of no return. When you do something that will not give you the chance to go back to your old world. Number seven. And then number eight, so usually this is when you regret, the hero regrets their decision to take this journey, but they can't do anything. And then the number eight is when they go into some sort of a death and then rebirth. So they usually lose, but then something is awakened inside of them so that they're a new person after that. And then number nine is the reward. So you think you finally got it. You're able to fulfill your calling. But when you go back to your world, it's different. When you start going back to your world, it's different. And so you get resurrected. You come out a different person. And then you return with the elixir, meaning you finally fulfill your original purpose. And then that's when you go back to your old self, not sorry, to your old world, but you are a different person. So that's your complete hero journey. So they say that any movie, any um story, any narrative, the hero goes through these steps. Okay. So think about it. Who in BTS, in the most beautiful moment in life, who actually went through this entire journey? So I plotted this because this is the journey that each member sort of followed. Okay. So in essence, they didn't just present a product, they presented a story. They didn't ask fans to love BTS more. They asked fans to love themselves. Okay, so that's their message. That's the message that they wanted to deliver in the end. That's the kind of emotional inversion that transforms a band into a movement. Okay, all because they decided to put the audience in the center of the story, their story, and not themselves. Okay, so let's plot it out in Frodo Baggins, Lord of the Rings, the ordinary world, and this is where Frodo actually begins. So he lives very, very peacefully in the Shire. He had friends, books, food, second breakfast. It was very simple. He was a very simple one. And so it was an ideal life, basically. And then Gandalf came, and Gandalf tells Frodo the truth about the One Ring. And so the Shire, he's told, is no longer safe, and Frodo must leave to take the ring to Rivendell. Okay, so he was given the challenge, he was given the problem. So this is the call for adventure, the call to adventure. So for those who haven't actually studied this, I hope that you're actually learning something from this. And then he refuses the call initially, and he hesitates. He said he doesn't. He's not brave. He's not powerful. He's just a hobbit who enjoys his garden, and he doesn't want the responsibility. He doesn't want the burden of actually doing it. But then Gandalf serves Frodo's mentor. So Gandalf is basically the mentor that he met, offering guidance, protection, and critical advice. And so, in essence, Frodo felt after talking with Gandalf that he actually has no choice. If he wants to preserve the Shire the way that it is, not just for him, but for everybody else, he needs to do this. Okay. Number five, he crosses the threshold. Frodo leaves the Shire with Sam, Merry, and Pippin. I don't know who your favorite character is in this, but I hope that you remember the four major characters, the four friends. So Sam, Merry, Pippin, and Frodo. So tell me who's your favorite of the four. Actually, your favorite character in Lord of the Rings? Tell me who is your favorite character. Okay, and then tests allies and enemies. So this is when they go through different trials. Frodo is tested with tested many times. He got attacked, he was nearly killed, he almost got seduced by the ring's power, but also he gained allies. He gained Aragorn. Remember that. Legolas, Gimli, all of them. Okay. So Frodo is your favorite character? Okay. Tell me who your favorite character is. Sam. And then number seven is their approach to the innermost cave. The hero prepares for the biggest challenge, right? So they're going to go through the cave. Frodo realizes the ring is corrupting everyone else. So he does need to go to Mordor alone. And so this is his emotional breaking point when he felt and realized that the ring is just way too powerful for everybody else. Reg, Legolas, you and I. Legolas is my favorite. Oh my God. The ordeal. So he faces major crisis. Frodo is physically and spiritually broken. He's captured by orcs, poisoned by Shelob, tempted by Gollum, and utterly consumed by the burden of the ring. So one of the great things about him as an actor is that most of his struggle, they're actually very internal. So it's hard for him to externalize it. It was better in the book because the author can actually explain it. But in the movies, like how are you going to show the internal, right? Um Silva, oh, Legolas. Okay. And then the reward is when he reaches Mount Doom. And though he fails at the final moment claiming the ring for himself, Gollum's intervention destroys the ring and the world is saved. So at the end, he was able to fulfill what he set out to do. And then he starts going back. The ring is gone, but Frodo is not the same. He and his friends return to the Shire only to find it changed and themselves even more. So the Shire is actually almost the same. It's more them that change. It's just it doesn't feel the same anymore. So next, this is the first time I ever hear seen this guy and movie. Really. So Frodo tries to live a normal life, but he couldn't, and the trauma of the journey of course lingers. So he chooses to leave Middle Earth with the elves, symbolizing peace, healing, and closure. This is when, if you would remember, he actually went, he left. Okay. So the hero and Frodo leaves his story behind for others to read. He gives the world his experience through the Red Book of Westmarch and passes the torch to Sam. His gift is wisdom and sacrifice. Sam actually eventually also left. Anybody in the book, in the original book, everyone else who carried the ring, ends up in that where where Frodo actually ended up. So eventually Sam joined him. So think about it. Who among the characters of the most beautiful moment in life and Love Yourself actually had the complete hero's journey? Think about it. Who was it that had a complete hero's journey? And if you can, like, choose one character and plot their character in each of the journey, in each plot point of the hero's journey, and that's going to teach you or train you how to write a solid story with a plot. It it wouldn't necessarily mean that you're writing a great story, but at least it's one that has a clear structure. Maybe Jin for overall, Jungkook. Okay, so in my opinion, I think it's Jin. He is the one with the complete hero's journey. But I also think that all of them will have a complete hero's journey. And that is why I think the story is not done. Because a lot of them started their hero's journey, but it has not progressed. It hasn't finished. And so I think it's just the start. Whatever we have seen with the notes, with Save Me, the webtoon, with Begins Youth, and with all the music videos, that's just the beginning. I think there's more to each of the character because each character is actually going to go through each of the hero's journey. So it's not done yet. It's not done. But this should give you an idea on why the entire era, the entire Bangtan universe actually stuck to the audience. Number one, it was about the audience. They were saying, love yourself. Like, this is the most beautiful moment. This story of the most beautiful moment of in life is actually tracking the journey of each of us. And then they have this very solid developed character in Jin. It's very developed story actually in general. It's an epic. And then each of the character in there, each of the seven actually has a potential to go through to go through the hero's journey and then eventually finish it. So there's more to this. There's more coming. And I fully believe that even after everything is said and done, this story will continue.